vibefm.ky.
Welcome back to the show, listeners, here on Talk with the Nation. We're wrapping up our final few minutes with the Managing Director of the Cayman Turtle Farm, Mr. Tim Adams, and Chairman of the Cayman Turtle Farm Board, Mr. Ken Hydes. The gentlemen were just sharing with us in the last segment all the wonderful things that are happening at the Cayman Turtle Farm. And during the break, I asked Mr. Adams and Mr. Hydes how the local visitor numbers are looking at the Turtle Farm. Mr. Tim?
Local visitor numbers are up. We put in the water slide in December last year, and it's been a great attraction. People have been coming down
right
and enjoying it, and also, of course, the number of birthday parties and things like that have increased. So.
I mean, you could do birthday parties, you can do weddings, and I was saying to you gentlemen, that for our listeners out there and Cayman, if you Caymanians and residents, expats alike, if you haven't visited the Cayman Turtle Farm, I would personally like to tell you to go down and pay the very small fee that the locals are privileged to have, and go down there and enjoy yourself. You can go down and you can go to the restaurant that's there and have a few drinks or a great meal with friends and family, or you can go down to the water slide and lounge, with other moms if you want to, or dads, and just have yourself a cold, refreshing drink and enjoy the water slide. You can enjoy the pool. You can go to the lagoon. You can visit the Aviary. It's just a wonderful attraction. And again, if you haven't been down to the Turtle Farm anytime recently, you need to do so, because I think that it'll be a trip to the Turtle Farm that you'll never forget, and you'll want to keep going back. You will want to keep going back. I guarantee you that. Any final words from both gentlemen?
Well, certainly, the reason we came on the show, and again, thanks to Vibe and Spin and yourself, Donna, for having us and allowing us this time, was to basically address the World Society for Protection of Animals and their report and subsequent media activity. Mm-hmm. I personally would believe there's a place in the greater world for agencies such as WISPA, because there are issues out there that need to be addressed, and there needs to be a check and balance within society.
Sure.
Certainly, I don't agree with them on this occasion. Mm-hmm. I think that they have got things wrong. I feel that they have very much painted the worst possible picture of an organization that is of national importance or national significance to the residents of these islands. Mm-hmm. And we are totally committed. And I just want to be very clear. We're totally committed to basically an organization, to taking this organization forward in a way that will not only protect the things that we hold near and dear, including our turtles, but to basically continue to strive to make it an organization that has benefits to the Cayman Islands with the least amount of requirements from the people of this island. Mm-hmm. So we'll continue to work, certainly in my role as chairman, and I can't thank Tim and the staff, Raymond, Chris. I'm probably shooting myself in the foot by
too many to name.
Too many to name, but Tina certainly has been just unbelievable during this whole crisis.
She is amazing.
Yeah, I certainly wish that I could write half as good as her, but she's been a tremendous benefit to us to have on board and during this time, and certainly there's a lot of good people working very hard to push back a process that can negatively impact us, mm-hmm. but we certainly wish for the best possible outcome, and we believe that can be achieved by actually, doing things like we're doing today and providing people with, just some checks of our own to say, okay, look, we are not above answering the critical questions,
right?
And we certainly would say, if this member of public or that didn't want to call in today, certainly if they want to get in touch with someone at the farm and say, look, I saw this, or I feel this, please
share it with you.
Share it with us.
Okay, Mr. Hydes, thank you. Mr. Adams, final words?
Well, I think Mr. Hydes has covered it very well.
Okay.
And just to say that, we stand by our scientific research and conservation mandate and the record that we've achieved in both of those areas. And as I mentioned a little earlier, we're really beginning to see the great results of those. So we don't want to turn back now.
Okay.
You know, it's a unique facility, the first place in the world to achieve the second generation of breeding sea turtles in captivity. We don't want to give all that up.
That's right. We don't want to give up our turtle meat either.
Going to be a retraction, but we think that it's going to have to continue on all fronts. There's been a really dedicated team, and you know, Tim and myself kind of ended up there today, I guess, as the front men for the cause. But you know, in the discussions in response to this, we've certainly had the relevant agents, Department of Environment, the Department of Tourism, and just a really small team of sort of people writing and responding to these queries and media interest furiously. We think we will have to continue on that front. But more importantly, we think that it's very important that the positive message gets out there. You know, the credibility of our organization, the value that it has to turtle conservation, the value it has to developing aquaculture system that no one else has been able to do.
Right.
You know, if the turtle farm was had been pioneered in another jurisdiction, it would be a national institution. Here it seems to be, on occasion, a source for national ridicule. And that's really disappointing.
Right.
Can we do, I keep saying this, honestly, we look every day to do things better.
Okay.
And so certainly, you know, we want to continue to engage. We're looking forward to the independent review starting in December. We're looking forward to the results.
Okay.
And that is going to be, you know, very much so important to how this eventually plays out. You know, we're certainly also going to have, looking forward to having dialogue about the sort of ongoing sort of financial aspects of the farm. And so we're just very positive for the future of the farm, and how it can advance and become better.
Right.
We certainly feel that WISPA has brought things to the table, or brought things to, you know, the national or international attention. But we certainly, I can only say this, I think I'm only going to say it one more time. We do not feel that their report is representative of the Cayman Turtle Farm that I serve as chairman of, and I think as the Tim Sims is managing director of, and that is a national institution in our country.
Okay, so despite the false allegations by WISPA and the way forward, let's talk about, and let's wrap up Talk with the Nation this evening, and let's point to all the very positive and good things that are happening at the organization. Mr. Tim, you want to start pointing out some of those things for us?
Just touching on, I'll touch on some, and I'm sure Ken will talk on some as well.
Okay.
But just touching on some of the conservation gains. You know, we've been releasing turtles ever since the farm began. And once we had the program started with the reproduction of turtles.
Right.
And now we're seeing the results of that. Back in 1999, there were, I think, fewer than 20 turtle nests, or somewhere around that order of magnitude.
Right.
The total number of nests recorded here. This past year, this 2012, over 200.
Wow.
You know, and in large part, the growth has been in green sea turtles. Why? We release turtles that now, 25, 30 years later, are finally getting to the age of maturity.
Right.
Where they are now breeding.
Right, and they've come back home.
They've come back home, and that's been proven that several of those turtles are definitely turtles that have been released from Cayman Turtle Farm.
Okay.
So, you know, there you go. That is great news.
Yeah, on the conservation front, it certainly is.
In the hatching, this year we had a bumper crop, over 41,000 eggs, and we got the hatch rate up. Hatch rate has been fairly down below 7%.
Okay.
And this year we got it up over 11%.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of good things happening on that front.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Mr. Hyde?
If we take it back to the sort of inception and when the original idea was floated that somehow, you know, a group of sort of entrepreneurs and people with a lot of passion, people like Irv Naylor and Dr. Schroeder, could basically take these wild sea turtles, you know, and basically convert them to a farming concept. You know, everyone laughed, all right? and there was a lot of it was a source of great amusement back in those days. And then we've gradually broken down each barrier. So when we said that we could actually farm turtles and put turtles in an artificial environment and get them to basically nest on an artificial beach, you know, people said, you're absolutely mad. We did that. And then they moved the bar a little higher. They said, well, yes, you can get, you know, first generation turtles, but you can't get second generation turtles.
Okay.
Now, majority of the hatchlings that Tim is alluding to that we're getting, a majority of them are now second generation.
Right.
So all of these things just speaks to the pioneering work. Look, if the turtle farm, if we took turtle farm and put it in parallel with other commercial farming operations, say for example cattle, and we took the cattle farming or you know farming industry for cattle back 40 years into its life cycle, and look at the things that it would have been happening in that industry 40 years in compared to how sophisticated they are these days, and how there's a tremendous opportunity here to really continue to do something really amazing that protects our heritage and culture, but also basically is so focused and so driven for turtle conservation. At the farm, I mean, the operation itself has been the source of much local discussion.
Right.
Whether it's been the finances or, you know, other matters. But, you know, in 2009, I was asked to essentially take on the role of chairman, and you know I was very, very lucky to get a group of very passionate, very business focused individuals to be a part of that board.
Okay.
And you know simple things like we started we took over the directorship and responsibility for the farm. Things like the annual audited accounts were, you know, they were backlogged.
Okay.
Now, yesterday, before the deadline that is set down by law, I actually signed the audited accounts for 2012, for the fiscal year
Wow,
of 2012.
that's to be applauded.
Right, and so these are the sort of things, and this is not, I wish I could take credit. Not really, absolutely
It's
not
a
really.
team.
But it's the dedicated team of individuals that we have at the farm. The farm has been through, that's been some of the positive stuff. We've had to make some really tough decisions. We've made, a board and senior management have made decisions, with staff cuts,
Right.
salary reductions, looking for efficiencies within the operations of the farm. We have focused on the retail operation, how to refine that.
Right.
We've focused on the food and beverage. Every aspect of the operation we have actually, really delved into, taken a critical look, and essentially worked to basically reduce the exposure of the country. In 2009, the sort of subsidy from government was in the region of, I think, almost 12.7, approaching 13
Million a year.
and now we're closer to 10 million. I
Okay.
think the share is probably about 9. But the reality is we have taken steps to do a better job at managing the farm. And one of the things that the listening public has to remember, much of that subsidy that we get from government in relation to our operation goes directly to debt service. It's almost 7+ million.
Right.
So, all of this has happened with a staff that, has faced some real challenges, but have continued to show up every day to do an incredible job to deliver a world-class tourism product.
Right.
I think in the last survey by DOT, we were only beat out by Stingray City for local attractions.
Okay.
So that speaks volumes.
It does.
Tim can probably say a little bit more about that, but I don't want the people of this country to forget amongst all of the negatives that could be stacked against their door, a lot of the positive things that have come out of the turtle farm.
Right. Okay.
And a lot of the positive things that have happened in recent times, certainly under Tim's leadership. It's incredible to see the organization that's 40 years old, that is uniquely centered around these islands, and the progress that we've made. sorry if I'm coming over as a bit passionate about
No,
what
it's
about
okay.
the farm.
I think that's to be expected, being the chairman of the board, and if you weren't that passionate, then that would be questioned, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Adam, would you like to add to what Mr. Hydes has been saying about the wonderful things that are happening at the Cayman Turtle Farm?
Yeah, I think we can look at Cayman Turtle Farm in similar light to Stingray Sandbar, Stingray City.
Mm-hmm.
It is an iconic attraction.
It is.
It's the single most visited tourist attraction that's land-based.
Mm-hmm.
Stingray Sandbar is the one that gets a little more people than we do.
Right.
Right.
Right. But I'm sure that'll all change at some point.
Well,
At some time, I'm sure that will all change. I have faith from a personal level that the team that's at the Cayman Turtle Farm will certainly exceed expectations in the future.
well, as the chairman said, we look to see what we can do better every day. We continue to improve.
Right.
But when all these things are talked about and considered, let's stop this for a minute, suspend thought about Cayman Turtle Farm. Suppose they were talking about Stingray Sandbar,
Mm-hmm.
saying, you know what, because you have people touching stingrays, that's cruel to the animals. Therefore, you need to shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the reaction would be?
Yeah.
Are we just going to say, okay, well, that's fine, we'll shut it down?
Yeah. Well,
I don't think so.
No, I think the local people, though, and certainly both attractions provide many families in the Cayman Islands, and have provided many families in the Cayman Islands with their livelihoods over the years, and will continue to do so in future generations. But I think if you're comparing the Cayman Turtle Farm to Stingray City, because Caymanians have become very fond of turtle meat, for instance, and it's become it's part of our culture. It's our national. We consider it to be our national dish. I think you would have more people on your side, Mr. Tim, if it came down to that from that point of view. But Mr. Hydes, let's get back to some of the other good things that you were talking about. You talked about the audit and getting the audit done before the complete deadline. Let's break it down into elements as far as the staff. The good things that are happening with the staff, and any programs that may be happening there for staff incentives and such, as well as the food and beverage area that you were talking about, and retail business. Can we break it down a little bit more in detail for our listeners out there?
Certainly, from the audited accounts perspective, we were very lucky to engage the relevant parties for the audit, which is a local accounting firm,
Mm-hmm.
and essentially the Auditor General's office. We came up with a plan to clear the backlog.
Okay.
Some simple things like some of the first audits that we were going through and trying to get the backlog cleared. We had 28 plus audit points of things we needed to do.
Okay.
This year we're 8 audit points.
Okay, that's significant.
That's significant. We've taken steps with regards to good governance as part of the audit process and the part of our overall general administration of the organization, to put a register of interests. Every board member has said, hey, this is the interest I have. That
Right.
We've also established tables of delegated responsibility, so the organization runs more effectively, more efficiently.
Okay.
There's very clear lines of reporting. You heard the Honorable Premier talk about his day-to-day involvement.
Mm-hmm.
I as chairman of the board, I generally don't get involved, or unless requested by Tim and the management team, I generally don't get involved in the day-to-day staffing matters.
Okay, right.
And certainly, if there are some concerns, there's a protocol between Tim and myself that how I take that up to the ultimate shareholders and the government. So
Okay.
There's been a level of discipline that has been brought into our board, and that all kind of ties back to the approach we've taken to the audit. And it slowly got to the point where we cleared the backlog. We absolutely made the dedication and got the right people in place that we're now able to, get it done before the 31st of October.
Wow.
And I'm proud to be walking about with a copy of that in my hand. So
Okay.
it's really a milestone for me, and I certainly feel very personally very proud of the organization for that. When we look at for example the retail in the early probably 2010, we had an external retailer from the U.S. come in and offer us a proposal to take over our retail.
Right.
And essentially to pay us a concession.
Right.
And from a board's perspective, we looked at it and goes, okay, if they're so confident about how that can be done, let us take a hard, long look at it.
Right.
And so we got board members that are, have retail experience. So we rolled up our sleeves, we got involved, we looked at, various aspects of it, and now we're starting to see a gradual turnaround in the entire, merchandising and retail side.
Wonderful. That's great.
The same thing for food and beverage. We looked at the food and beverage. All the normal things that you would look for, cost of goods sold, and the price point and the menu, and so we eventually reworked the program. We got a really good sort of food and beverage manager on board, and now we're starting to make a profit.
Right.
From the sort of tours aspect, in spite of the cruise industry's declining numbers, our numbers of visitors from the cruise industry is actually going
up. Wow.
Right. The numbers of stayover guests are also on the increase.
Great.
This all speaks to an organization that is not dysfunctional, is not improperly managed, that doesn't have a board or a governance structure that is actually mindful. And again, I say we have our challenges. There's been things that have happened recently, and that we all just shook with and dismayed that they had happened. But fundamentally, the farm, with the parameters that we have, are actually doing a tremendous job at minimizing the impact on the country, are maximizing the results for the staff. I mean, we have about 100 staff. 80 of them are Caymanian.
Right.
Right. And that's one of the things that we've had some discussions about, looking at what the economic impact of having the turtle farm is for this country. It's not just that we're putting money in. They're local contractors and vendors and customs duty and staff salaries that we all pay. We provide a tremendous service to the tourism industry.
Yeah.
So all of these things have to be borne in mind. Lots of other marine attractions in North America, they're a part of a bigger equation. All right. A lot of them don't make a profit on their own.
Right.
So I think we have to really compare sort of apples to apples. But unfortunately for us, there's no other turtle farm, so we really can't. We really don't have a model out there
to weigh it against.
So all of this is in play. With all of these varying factors in play, you can really see how the team from the turtle farm would actually be, and I'm going to use a phrase, absolutely gutted by the allegations of the WSPA. And we want to do everything we can to basically get the right information out there. If there's someone that really has a concern and wants the right information, we'd be more than happy to try and provide them that information.
Okay.
We have, and I'll say it again, we have committed to an independent assessment. We're getting Dr. Brendan Godley. He's highly regarded in the turtle conservation and turtle biology world. He's not only a doctor of veterinary medicine, but he's also has a PhD in marine biology. And Tim, I can't remember the other lady.
Yeah, we're putting together the team now and aiming for a start in December.
Okay.
And we'll once we get that going and completed, we'll be in a position then to say what the results are.
To speak more about it. But if I may add, actually, we're going to take a break. My director here is saying, take a break. So we're going to take a break here and talk with the nation, and when we come back, we're going to wrap up our discussion here with the managing director of the Carolina Isles Turtle Farm and the chairman of the board, Mr. Ken Hydes, here on Talk with the Nation. We'll be right back.